Hi, my name is Jennifer Hancock. I'm the founder of Humanist Learning Systems, and I get asked a question. I get a lot of questions, and one of my customers asked me, "Well, how do I deal with an unethical coworker?" That's a darn good question, and it happens a lot more than we like to think. Now, most of our coworkers are going to be good people, doing good things, but every once in a while we have someone not so great. So how do we deal with that? Well, the first thing is, in order to claim the moral high ground, you have to be moral yourself. So make sure you're not unethical yourself. Make sure you're not trying to just get them in trouble so that you don't get in trouble. That's a no-no. So I'm assuming you're a good person, you want to do good, you want to be good, you want to just deal with someone who's not. So let's talk about that. How do you work around unethical people? Well, you have to work around them. All right. When someone's unethical, they don't do what they say they're going to do. They blame others for their mistakes. Maybe they're even more unethical and they're doing things like stealing or lying or embezzling funds, things like that. Well, let's talk about the first part first. If someone's just not a person of their word or they're blaming people for their mistakes, you have to work around them, and you do that by documenting everything. There's a business saying called CYA, cover your ass. Well, you do that to create a paper trail. So if you have a verbal agreement with someone, you follow up with a friendly email, a professional email. It says, "So glad we talked about this. Here's my understanding of what we discussed. I'm doing ABC, you're doing EFG, and that the due dates on these are this, this, and this." All right. And what that does is it provides a paper trail and a documentation, and it clears up misunderstandings. So even when people mean well and they're not unethical, misunderstandings occur. And doing this is going to help clarify and make sure there's no misunderstandings. It's a very professional thing to do. All right, you're not doing it to get the other person in trouble. You're doing it because you're a professional. Now, if it turns out the other person is not professional and they're unethical, this is going to drive them crazy because it's going to eliminate their ability to lie. Right? Because I've been in situations where I've had coworkers agree to something and then they don't do their part and then they blame me for it, right? This eliminates that. They can't do that anymore. So if you're dealing with someone who's playing those sorts of passive-aggressive games with you, nip it in the bud, document everything. You don't do it in a mean way. You don't get mad. You just assume this person's a good person, even if you don't think they are, and you operate as if they are, and professional people follow up all the time. We just had this conversation. It was good talking to you. Here's what we agreed to. If I'm mistaken, let's clear it up now before we get going. Done. That's all you need to do. If the other person's unethical, they will dig their own hole. You do not have to help them. All you have to do is create the conditions in which, if they are unethical, they will dig a hole. All right? And that's what will happen if you have the documentation, because then they can't lie. And if they start to lie, it becomes obvious that they're lying, and that's them digging their hole. All right? Don't help them. Don't get mad at them. Don't play their game. Don't get in an argument with them. Don't fight with them, because if you fight with them, you're part of the problem. Don't fight with them. Be professional, cover your ass, be nice, and you'll get through this. All right. Now, if the person is doing something illegal, they're like highly unethical, and they're hurting people. Maybe they're harassing someone in the workplace, which is illegal. Maybe they're embezzling funds. Maybe they're asking you to do something that's illegal. I had a girlfriend once, she got a job as a lawyer for someone, and they immediately started asking her to do illegal things. Don't do those illegal things. And you do need to report, and if this is your boss, I'm sorry, go get another job. Like, if this is a person who owns the company, you need to get another job. All right, so keep your head down. Don't do anything illegal in the meantime. Document what's going on so that you can give it to the authorities after you leave and go get yourself another job. Before you report anything, though, so let's assume it's a coworker and you know what's going on. What you're going to want to do is start documenting what's going on. And I tell people to do this if they're dealing with harassment, but before you take action, you need to keep your head down and you need to document what's going on. Who is doing what? Who is saying who to what? It's a who, what, where, when, and how. Where did it happen? What happened? Who said what? What was done? Be very, very specific and keep a track of that with documentation. So if there's emails, copy them, put them in your log. Whatever documentation you have, Once you have that in place, you're also going to look for allies. Who's going to support you in this when you report it? Because let me tell you, you report on someone who's unethical and they will retaliate. So you need to be prepared before you do that with your ducks in a row, with your documentation and with your allies, so that when you report and the proverbial stuff hits the fan, you are prepared for that. All right? And the documentation trail is going to help you do that. So do that first and then report. Okay? So if you want to learn more, that's what my website, Humanist Learning Systems, is for. I have a lot of online courses. I obviously have this blog and the vlog to teach about these things, but if you're looking for a course specifically on how to deal with an unethical coworker, what I would recommend is a course called Ending Harassment and Retaliation in the Workplace. Now, unethical people tend to bully. They tend to harass. You know, harassment and bullying are basically the same thing. So unethical people will blame other people. That's a form of bullying. It can be treated the same way. But more importantly, it's the retaliation dynamic that you need to deal with. And so that course talks about why that happens behaviorally, what to expect about it, and more importantly, how to manage that process so that you can come out of the other end of that successfully. And that's what you're going to need when you're dealing with an unethical coworker. So head over to my website if you want to learn more, humanistlearning.com, and sign up for Ending Harassment and Retaliation in the Workplace.